What's up, guys? It is John from Side Hustle Experiment. If you're new to the channel, welcome. In today's video, we're gonna go over wins and losses for me and my business for 2022. I don't really look at things as losses, more so as lessons. So I'm gonna kind of go over what didn't go so well, what I learned from that, and then what went well, and what I learned from that. And then kind of what I'm going to be doing moving forward in 2023. Some things I am focusing on the business. Not really going to be like, oh, here are my goals and stuff like that. It's just kind of overall stuff that I want to improve upon. So with that being said, let's just get into it. This is going to be old school style car unedited video. For everyone who's been here from the beginning, you'll know exactly what I mean. So let's get into it. So some lessons slash losses. So one of the big things for this year, I bit off way more than I could chew. I was running a bulk book business. I was doing eBay, I was doing merchant fulfilled books, FBA books, and it was just me and someone else, a helper part-time. And then I had the genius idea I'm also doing social media, and then lop on online arbitrage, and I kind of just thought I could do that. That did not work out at all. And one of the biggest takeaways from this, and I only learned this by getting rid of everything and just focusing really on online arbitrage, is you just really can't do it all. Even if I had people who could help manage eBay, or maybe someone who took care of all the shipping for the merch fulfilled and stuff like that, it just was just such an energy drain. Like, there's so much moving pieces just in one business, let alone a whole different section. So one of the big learnings was, you got to focus on one. And basically, I think it would have been much different if I was able to outsource the entire book operation and then use all my time to do online arbitrage. But trying to add something on that actually requires a lot of attention that I didn't really even know how to do, and was basically learning it, was a big mistake. So that was probably number one, my biggest mistake of 2022. The second one is bookkeeping. So bookkeeping went really, really well. The first 6 months I was using GoDaddy bookkeeping. I was very familiar using it. Was using it for, 2-3 years at that point, and then they decided to shut down, and that was it. So I was kind of in the midst of trying to figure out QuickBooks, or what was I going to do. Like, sometimes you just become so reliant upon a software or a system that when that goes away, you don't really remember the basics. Like, it was just so set up and so easy. So QuickBooks, I was just not able to get it set up correctly. And stuff just became an absolute nightmare. I do not recommend anyone doing this. I had a grasp on my numbers just from doing this for, I've been able to use Inventory Labs and calculate my Amazon payout to know what was going on in the business. But if I was brand new, this would be an absolute disaster. So big lesson here, and I'm pretty much already locked someone up. I am going to have a bookkeeper for 2023. They are going to be in charge, it's actually a firm, of setting up the QuickBooks the right way, reconciling all the sales, reconciling all the credit card charges, make sure everything's categorized correctly. I'll be able to go into QuickBooks and see exactly where my business is at, what is going on, cash flow wise, spend wise. So really looking forward to that. And a big lesson there is numbers are really, really important, obviously. And, at the size that we grew to, we scaled really quickly, and quickly realized that, spending $10,000, $20,000 a month in inventory is not that challenging to track. But then when you spend $50, $60, $70,000 on inventory in a given month, things get a lot more complicated. Things get canceled. You get shorted things. It just is a lot to keep up with. So having someone being fully in charge of that is going to be a huge help for me moving forward. The next one. So probably, actually, I already said I thought that, well, let's actually do one and I'll do the worst one. Number 3 was a prep center. Getting a prep center was awesome, but I ended up losing probably a couple $1,000s after it's all said and done, due to the prep center just becoming unresponsive. I learned so much from this disaster. Basically, if you go back through videos, there's a couple of videos about the prep center. Prep center was Tiger Lily. Do not use them in Montana. They basically held my inventory. There was about $10,000 worth of stuff there at the time. And yeah, they just weren't shipping it out. I had to call the cops, get a lawyer involved. But it was the most eye-opening part for me was that I didn't do any due diligence. And it was just crazy to think that I was so willing to send tens and thousands of dollars worth of inventory to someone I've never talked to on the phone, went to a Zoom call with, didn't even have their phone number, just had an email, just absolutely insane. So learned a ton about that. Do your due diligence, ask questions, ask to see the facility, you know, now I have a new prep center that I'm working with. I have their phone number. We text back and forth. If I have a question, they get right back to me. So it's really good to be able to communicate with your prep center. So that was a big lesson for me. The last one, I mean, obviously there's probably more kind of losses, but these are just kind of the big ones, was health. I did a terrible job. I don't even know if I did a job taking care of myself, eating the right things, going to the gym. I just put all my focus and energy into work. Whether I would have got to where I am now or not, I have no idea. If I was like working out and eating healthy, maybe it would happen sooner, maybe it wouldn't, I don't know. Some people will probably argue it would have, so I'd be thinking more clearly and feeling better. Other people would say, I don't know. But for 2023, health is going to be a big focus. I did my goals and kind of made like a hierarchy, and health is above business for this year. So kind of, you know, when I'm looking at like the to-do list or like what's going to happen in a given day, like health has to get done no matter what, and other stuff has just going to have to fall by the wayside. I mean, it's just terrible. It is what it is. I have lost a ton of weight before in the past, so that's what I plan on doing again. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I don't think, I don't know, would I go back and change it? I think a lot of us say that now that you're in the situation you're in, but maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of happy where the business ended up this year as a whole, but it definitely costs too much in health. And I guess, you know, the realization is like, well, you're doing really well and like you can't either spend the money or you don't feel good. It's like, what's the point of, you know, getting like, you know, making money and kind of living life on your terms if you actually can't really live that life because you are not healthy? So yeah, that is was probably the biggest L for me. And yeah, getting back into it's gonna really suck. Not gonna lie, but I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'm also not gonna have the warehouse after January, so it's just going to be a lot easier to kind of get it in. Part of the issue, I mean, this is a total excuse, but like there really wasn't a gym like close to me. So for me, I'm more of I'd rather work in the morning. That's when I am most focused, and I think that's when I do my best work. So I really don't want to spend that time at the gym. You know, I could, you know, be doing other I could go to the gym where I'm not laser focused and still have a really good workout. And I also think, there's a limit to how much I could work, like focused work. Maybe it's like 2-3 hours. So that would kind of be the plan, work like 2-3 hours, go to the gym, and then, tackle, the after, maybe have lunch and then kind of tackle the rest of the day or the afternoon. So that's kind of some losses, some lessons there. What went well? So one of the things that went well, or some wins, was I totally got rid of books. This was a huge undertaking for me. I was doing books for about 3 years, and knew books really well. We had a good merchant fulfilled business, FBA business, eBay business. And yeah, I definitely could have grew that, maybe doubled or tripled it by hiring maybe like 1 to 2 people, and it still would have been really profitable. But the more and more that it went on, with restock limits, and I didn't want to run a merch filled book business. And I think one of the things you have to keep in mind when you're running an Amazon business is you kind of started the business so you could kind of live life on your terms. And you know what, like, I was going to a job I didn't want to go to, and you know what, doing merch fulfilled books felt just like that. Even if I did have someone ship them out and kind of outsourced it, it just was not the business I wanted to be in. So getting rid of books, I would say it was hard. Like, that was where all my revenue was coming from. So I had a big decision to make, and I made it. I just stopped doing books in July. I was trying to do OA in conjunction with books, and I've tried all the different things. Books 1 week, OA the next week, books, no books for 2 weeks, just OA. It just, whenever I started the other one just fell apart. So the lesson there is you just have to make a decision and go for it. Looking back now, I could have always went back into books. I was like good friends with my supplier. I still am. So if I stopped doing books for like 3 or 4 months, where cash flow would have been tight on that, doing online arbitrage. But I would always have the option to do books again, or maybe I focused only on online arbitrage, spent all the money I could for online arbitrage, and then buy books to kind of build some more capital, because that's a lot cheaper. So yeah, and number 2 on that is it's really easy to fall back into something you already know. So for instance, I was like, every time OA was going bad, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna order another thing of books. I'm gonna do books, and I'll eventually figure it out. So what I did is I took away the option completely. I sold the forklift. I also sold the dumper that dumped the books onto the table, so I could no longer do books. So now there was no option to do so, and that's really what pushed me over the edge to do books. So getting rid of that, was really hard. Maybe like a loss on that was like not managing cash flow that well, because I didn't really understand it for OA and kind of how the two would go hand in hand. I probably needed to focus on books a little more to keep cash flow going, but it worked out. So yeah, that was that. So yeah, another thing that was big, I did my first $100,000 sales month. It was in December. There's still, I don't know, a day left. Hopefully we get to 120,000 in sales. I'll be making a video about that early next week, basically breaking down kind of how I did it, how I scaled that high, or the team, the VAs and me. So yeah, that was kind of that. That was crazy. I did not think that was really possible. I literally I was doing OA, but only like 10 to 20K a month, because I was doing books. And basically I was like, I don't know how to break past this. And then it was really when I just focused on online arbitrage. I went from, I don't know, like 30K to 40K to 50 to 50 to 76, and then we eventually hit 100. So it was like kind of very eye-opening. Like, wow, like I can't believe this. You could do 100K. Obviously I had capital from doing books, so that obviously helped me. But yeah, being able to do that was a huge win for me. So yeah, that was a big win. Number 3, I would say, actually, this could be like win-loss. Part win was getting virtual assistant to help out for sourcing, and then later on in the year I got a virtual assistant to help with video editing. Win because I'm very bad at outsourcing, or not that I'm bad at it, I don't know, have this mindset that like it's easier to do it myself. The win on that is I learned how powerful it could be to outsource like prep or looking for leads and stuff like that, because it frees up my time to do kind of more important stuff, which is like evaluating buys, putting in repricing strategies and kind of focusing on stuff that I want to focus on. So it was a win in that way. It was a loss, and I just was not organized. I've never managed or worked with people. Well, I've worked with people, but never really managed someone virtually. So, they're on different time zone. That was kind of a thing. And trying to teach someone, I mean, depending on whether you have Instagram or YouTube or what you're doing, if you're just selling, it's much different to teach someone how to do what you want to do, how you want it done, that may not understand what Amazon FBA is. I would almost kind of equate it to when you explain to someone what you do. It's very hard for people to understand. They're like, what? Like, Amazon doesn't buy everything and send it to me? Like, I don't understand how this is working, So I think that is one of the harder things to do. Definitely outsourcing. For me, it was just, I don't know. I wish I did a better job at it. I could have did more training. I am kind of a very much jump in type of person and figure it out later. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But, so yeah, that was kind of the loss on that kind of, especially in Q4, I just got really focused on sourcing what I wanted to source. I kind of neglected the VAs leads and didn't really get to them. It was just a whole mess. And I think one of the biggest lessons from that is when you take on a VA, you're basically taking on a job, because you have to train this person, you have to give them feedback, you have to make sure they're happy, you have to make, a good work environment. You have to make sure, they're doing the right thing. When things change, you have to change up the sourcing terms, or the criteria you're looking for. Change is hard for everyone. So, getting people to change or change course is super difficult. So this year, I'm really going to focus on working on that a little more, doing a better job of that. I don't know if I'm going to clean slate it and just start over and kind of, when I hired the VA, the idea was, I need help sourcing, because I'm busy doing books. And that was obviously a mistake, because I have to be able to teach them how to do it. They obviously, it does a good job, it's decent, but I just let it kind of fall to the wayside, got super lax as I was just laser focused in Q4. So that's going to be a big part of Q1, is really kind of retraining. A lot has changed. In business, I want to be sourcing different categories, upping ROI, upping buy cost, and things like that. So what we're sourcing is going to be much different, and what I am accepting. As you go along, you realize what a quality lead is. When I first started working with a VA, some of the stuff that I approved, I was like, oh yeah, this is a good lead. Definitely was not a good lead now that I know better. And then secondly, I have to be more strict. That was a big, I know this is supposed to be a win and it's turning into a loss, but it's super important. I have to be more strict and be like, I really don't like delivering bad news, but I feel like if I just was up front, was like, this is a bad lead, I'm not buying this, I actually, instead of, I was assigning a lot of like, I'm not gonna buy this, like, no, then I kind of created a maybe, so they didn't feel as bad. Like, maybe I would buy it if things changed around, but I should have just said no. So I'm really gonna be doing more hands-on with them, reviewing leads with them in person. And you know what, if it's not working out, I'm just gonna jump to the next person. So yeah, that was kind of wins, losses for 2023. Big focus is going to be not necessarily outsourcing, but outsourcing things like bookkeeping, accounting, all prep. I did way too much prep this year, partly because I had issues with the prep center, and then Q4 I wanted to get stuff in faster. And it's hard to say too. It's like, well, how do you know that you got it in faster, or like would it arrived at the same time? We don't know, but so definitely want to be, you know, OA to prep. Oh, one of the wins I forgot to mention was I launched a Discord community, FBA Insider, Inner Circle, FBA Inner Circle, which I'm super excited about that, and kind of what's going to happen with that. Really looking forward to growing that, helping other people. Had a good year, you know, with socials and networking with people. That was probably a huge lesson of the year, was networking. You know, there was just some times this year where networking like just really saved me. Whether it was training VAs or, you know, figuring out if a brand is going to file an IP complaint, or just sharing leads in general. You know, when I was having an off day finding stuff, or the VA was, you know, being able to lean on a network of people who share leads, that was huge. And I think one of the biggest things is going to be focus. Just focus on, I know I said, you know, I'm going to be focused on Discord. But yeah, it's going to be health, the Amazon business, and then like Discord community. So definitely jump in there. There'll be a link down below. It's free, and helping other people, and just kind of doing YouTube and getting the business to a point where not VAs, like I feel like I'll always be part of the business and it will never be passive, but getting to the point where maybe, you know, I could take a week or two off and the business kind of run and operate without me. It's definitely not there. And I know it's not an easy task. Like the goal is to get the business to that point by the end of the year. Could it happen sooner? Sure, I don't know, but I'm gonna kind of like be rebuilding everything, so hard to say how quickly, but I want to do it right, make sure everything's in place, and I know that's not going to be easy. So not going to be like, oh, I'm going to have a hands-off business in 2 months. I know that's not the case. So shooting for like kind of end of the year, so 2023. So hopefully, you know, when I'm doing this video next year, it's more like, hey, like we were able to outsource, you know, I got people in place to source really good stuff, you know, have someone helping with repricing, have someone managing the prep center. So we'll see how that goes. But definitely really looking forward to, you know, a good 2023. Definitely will be focused. Won't have to worry about books, a warehouse. It's all going to be focused on OA, building a team, and really focusing on content and helping you guys out, because actually that's what I love to do the most. Doing videos like this, interviewing people, that's what I want to be doing. That's what I love doing. So coming up with a way to kind of have the Amazon business going really well, so I could focus more on content and helping you guys out, because I really get a lot of value from doing that. And, you know, having people reach out saying, hey, like I was able to quit my job because of your content, or, you know, I've made X amount of money because of your content. That feels much better to me than a bunch of orange bars. So that's kind of what's going on. I know this is a long video, so if you're still here, thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of this community this year. Definitely gonna get back onto consistent content. Q4 just really kicked my butt. So yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to almost more in-depth videos, getting people on the channel. I get asked a lot of questions about certain topics I don't really know anything about. And even if I were to research it and kind of come up with a good answer, I don't know if that would still suffice. So really going to be looking at, so a good example, there'll be a video coming up. I interviewed an insurance agent who focuses on e-commerce. So I don't know a ton about insurance. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get an expert on. And I mean, the stuff that I learned during that was just crazy. So now, like, when someone asks about insurance, I'm just gonna send them that video. So I'm gonna try to do a lot more stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for a great year, guys, and being part of watching this video, being subscribed to this channel. Like, subscribe, join the Discord. All links will be down below. And I look forward to seeing you guys next year.